Another thing I can do as a tactical action, so let's say that everybody else has gone around, so the next person over here would take a turn, they would activate a system or execute their strategy card, whatever they're going to do, and move, and then it would go around in number order for my strategy cards. And then when it comes back to us again, we'd have another turn to take another action, either our strategic action or another tactical action. So let's say that we're going to produce units at our space dock. Okay, we want to build some more units. So to build units, it has to be at a planet with a space dock, and you do put your space dock in orbit around a planet, and you generally want to pick a planet that has a relatively high production value. Like the one that it's around here has a 3 production value. So what I would do to produce more units is, again, I would take a counter for my command pool, one of these counters, and I would place it on the system. Now I could also move ships into here if I had some ships in other sectors that hadn't moved this turn already. I can move some ships into here and I can produce at the same time. So you can take any kind of action you can take in a system, you can take it for one command counter. So I'm going to produce some units. So what I need to do is I need to figure out, and let's say for the sake of argument that I've got my new planets that I just got, I can use their resources. Let's say it's another round. But what I would do, well, let's not do that, because that will be confusing. So what we do is we got to figure out how many resources we have. Right now, all I have are these 2 planet cards, and they have a 1 and a 3. So I have 4 resources that I can spend this turn. Alright, so then what I do is I look at my card here, my reference card, and I look at my units, and the units here give me some different information. Here's my different units, here's their cost in resources. So you can see a dreadnought, which is our big heavy ship, it cost me 5 resources, carriers 3, a cruiser 2, destroyers are 1. Fighters, you get 2 fighters for 1 resource. The War Suns, which are like the big Death Stars, they take 12 resources, and plus they take some technology we don't have researched yet to build. In ground forces, you can build 2 for every 1 resource. Planetary Defense Shield are 2 resources, and the space dock is 4. And you can actually put more than 1 space dock in a system if you like. But sometimes that's not a good idea because there's a stacking limit for your bigger ships, which is based on your fleet supply. Alright, so I have 5 units, 5 resources I can use. So I think I'm going to build another carrier so I can carry some more troops around and conquer more planets early in the game here. So I would take a carrier here, which costs me 3 resources, and then I would have 2 resources left that I could spend. So I believe what I would do then is I would use 1 resource to make 2 fighters, so I can have some fighter escort here. And then I would build, for that last resource, I would build 2 ground units. 2 ground units here. So that would be 5 resources worth of units. And then since I'm using these planets' resources here to produce these units, what I would do then is I would flip these over to their backsides to show that I had used them, because once I've used them I can't use them again until the whole next round of play. And I put them down face down in front of me, and they would be done. So I produced some new units. I would take those units and I would place them in the system. Now, fighters need to have a carrier present to survive. They're docked on a carrier. Or your space dock can also support a couple of fighters. So if you can leave a couple of fighters at your space dock. Fighters and ground units do not count towards your fleet size. If you remember from before on our fleet card here, on our race card, we've got our fleet supply area. I've got 3 tokens right now, which means I can only have 3 capital ships or big ships in any one system. Right now I've got 2. I could have 1 more there and be okay. If I were to make a mistake on my turn and end my turn with too many ships in a system, I would have to destroy one to get back down to my fleet size. So you do want to pay attention to your fleet size as you go through. So that's an example of producing units at a space dock. Now let's say that it's gone around another whole round where everybody has played, and now on this turn we're going to go ahead and execute our strategic action, which is our Imperial card. And again, the Imperial card here lets us draw a top card from the objective deck and place it face up in the common play area, and then we receive 2 victory points. So that's good. That's like 1/5 of the way to winning. So this would be our first public objective card on top of the deck we prepared before the game. We flip that over. Whoops, wrong one. That's an objective stage 2. Sorry, objective stage 1 card. First card, we flip it over and we show everybody. It says, I now spend 10 resources, and then we get me 1 victory point. So in the last phase of a round, which we haven't talked about yet, if you could spend 10 resources at that time, you could claim this public objective. So this will go near our scoring track, which is right here. We put this near our scoring track so that people could keep track of the public objectives. And anytime now in the future of the game, if someone has 10 resources they can spend, whether that's from their planets or from trade goods, they can do that. And then we would take one of our flags and put it on the 2 to show that we now have 2 victory points for using our Imperial strategic card that we picked at the beginning of the round. Then everybody else would have a chance to do the secondary ability of this one, which says spend 1 command counter from your allocation area to immediately build units in one of your systems, even if you've already built there this turn. So that could be very useful. If someone had the resources in the room in their system, they could actually build again and get more units. So these are very useful secondary abilities. And again, to execute that, they would have to spend a command counter from their strategy allocation area of their race card. We would then take and turn this card over, showing that we have used it, and that would be our strategic action for the round.